You want to create badass female characters like the next Wonder Woman or ballerina, but you're finding that readers are saying, she's not believable. I don't relate to her. She's a flat character. And you're thinking, what am I doing wrong? If you're concentrating on their skill set, you're concentrating on the wrong thing. Because the key to a great badass female character is not what she can do, it's who she is. And this video is going to talk about how to create a character that really resonates with readers, even if they're somebody that does something that they can't do in real life. Like personally, I cannot shoot or hit a target from 3,000 yards away. I don't have good aim. I'm not super good athletically, but I can relate to a female character that can do that if she is created in a way that I can connect with her. So let's get into how to do that. Badass female characters tend to have really amazing strengths, whether that is some kind of karate or sniper ability, or they can free climb up El Capitan, whatever it is. And a lot of writers start with that they have these unbelievable skills. And those are great. Those are important because that makes your badass female character have the abilities that she needs to get out of trouble. But you're starting in the wrong place if you're starting with those skills. The first thing you want to do is give your character a layered history. And that means that there are reasons behind why they have these skills. There are reasons behind why they're doing what they do. And that is what makes them connectable. For instance, in Little Heaven by Nick Cutter, Minerva is a mercenary. She is out there shooting people and killing them for pay. And you'd think, well, who's going to relate to that? But when Nick Cutter gets into her history about why she wants to kill one of the other characters in the book, and when he gets into her history about how she ended up becoming a mercenary and the trauma that she went through as a child and how that affected her, you start rooting for Minerva. You're just like, oh, I really hope she makes it through this horrible experience. And I kind of hope that she learns her lesson and makes friends with these people and all of these other things that you start relating to about her, because she has a history that is layered and complex. She didn't just suddenly pop on the page as a mercenary. There is so much more to her that people can relate to. To create that, you do what I talk about in a lot of other videos. You ask two questions. Why did this happen to this character, and what was the impact on them in here? It's not just her father left her when she was 3 and abandoned her, and the impact is she had to find a new home to live in. That's not the impact I'm talking about. While that's important to their character's history, it's more her father leaving her at 3 taught her that she can never depend on anybody but herself and made her reluctant to trust people. That has an impact on the plot. That has an impact on how your female character acts. It creates some sort of a distance between her and other characters, so when she has to rely on one, that's a really difficult thing for her. But there's a Jennifer Lopez movie where she was in an abusive relationship and she went on to become like this super kickboxer, fighter kind of girl.
You could hit me before, though, couldn't you? When I was defenseless?
She did that intentionally so that she would never be in a position of weakness again. And I can tell you from a personal standpoint that I went through a period of my life where I was incredibly insecure and anxious and just thought that I sucked, basically. And what I started doing was competing in triathlons. My friends talked me into it, and I was literally the girl that pretty much failed gym. Bad. I can't catch a ball, I can't throw a ball, I have no coordination. But I started doing these anyways, and I learned how to do all these incredible, to me, things. When I crossed the finish line at a half Ironman, after swimming in the Savannah River with alligators, I felt like the biggest badass in the world. And I did it because I wanted to no longer be that insecure, unsure person. I wanted to be able to do things and not be afraid. I talked about this in another video, but once I learned that I could do hard things, the rest of the hard things didn't scare me anymore. That's the kind of layered, complex history you want to give your female character. You want to know why she's doing it and what was the impact of her past on what she's doing right now. Secondly, you want her to be likable, but not a people pleaser. And that's a hard line to sometimes draw because you want her to be somebody that maybe cares about other people, but yet is not like a doormat for them. Generally, you can do that by creating what's called a save the cat moment, which is a moment where she is kind to an animal, a person, whatever, that gives the reader hope that she's actually a likable, relatable person. In the movie Long Kiss Goodnight with Gina Davis, She seems pretty unlikable, like a killer and all of that, but then you have that flash of her in her ordinary life before, and you see a yearning in this character for that life, a yearning for having that kind of peace and security and love and all of that. And so that makes you root for her right from the very beginning. Nick Cutter does the same thing in Little Heaven with Minerva, who is a paid killer, but she has a moment where she doesn't take that shot because she has that little bit of humanity that makes you hope for her for the whole book. So if you've got a female character who's like on a vengeance tear because she's going after the bad guy that killed her family,
they killed my father.
Give her something that she protects and cares. Janet Ivanovich's Stephanie Plum series has a bounty hunter who kind of like crosses some lines and stuff to get to where she wants to go. And she has like, I think it's a hamster or a gerbil that she takes care of. And this little hamster gerbil named Rex is like her whole life. And so that's that little bit of humanity with her where you know that she's really somebody that you should care of. So when you give a character a complicated, layered life full of things that they care about, even if they don't have a whole lot of moments in there, it does give the reader that little touch point of, okay, she's really protective of that. I can relate to that because I have a dog that I love so much. Badass female characters also do not all have to be like kickboxing champions. They can come in all kinds of types of person. Where the Crawdads Sing, for example, the heroine of that story has got a past that is complicated and layered, so you understand why she lives the way that she does.
An abandoned child.
I had a family once. They called me Kaya.
A little girl surviving in the marsh on her own, reviled and shunned.
But she's also badass because she can take care of herself in any situation, even when she was a teeny tiny little girl. So that makes the reader think, okay, she's got this. I'm not too worried about her. And they're going to root for her because they understand why she is the way she is. And they can see that she has those characteristics that really make us respect her and think she's going to overcome whatever comes her way. The most important thing that badass female characters have to have, beyond their skill set, is connection with the... They should be fighting fights that we believe in. If they are fighting for some kind of a cause that the world at large can relate to, like fighting to protect the underdog or fighting to avenge a family member's murder, those kind of universal fights are the things that make the female characters relatable. In The Storyteller by Jodi Picoult, both the present-day character and her grandmother are fighting for family, basically, to protect the people that they love, and then to also avenge them or to kind of keep them from being hurt any further. So those are things that we can all relate to, and that is the big key with creating connection. How can the reader relate to this character? What universal fight are they fighting? You can just ask that as a question of yourself. What universal fight is my female character fighting against? That connection also comes from watching these female characters be afraid, but still keep going. They're going to go no matter what because what they're fighting for matters a lot to them, and they're very determined to win this battle. And they have the weakness of fear that we all have. You don't want them to constantly be confident, oh, I've got this, I can totally beat that guy up, or I can leap that cliff and I'll be fine. You want them to have that moment of fear, that moment of weakness, because insecurity, anxiety, doubt is something all of us deal with every single day. And your female character, no matter how many skills she has, is going to have those flickers of doubt and fear and cowardice, just like the rest of us would. And we can connect with that. We can relate to that. These female characters are stronger than whatever is in their way. And you know that by seeing their determination, what's important to them, their skill set, their histories. And even if they have that little moment of doubt, like, oh, I don't know if I can battle this bad guy and win, the reader is like, you've got this. I've seen all the things that you've been able to do up until then. You can totally take this on. All of those things layer like a cake to create a character that we can connect with, that we can see is driven by a good reason and has something that they care about more than the roadblocks that are going to get in their way. And that's what gives the reader the hope that they can overcome those roadblocks. You've probably taken a bunch of notes in this video and you want like a super easy way to remember all of this. Well, I came up with an acronym using the word female. Badass female characters are fierce. Fierce in all ways that you can possibly be fierce. They are fierce in the face of danger. They are fierce in what they go after, and they are fierce in their love for other people. That's key, because love is a connector, right? Love is what makes them likable and relatable. They are extraordinary. They can do things a little bit bigger and better than the rest of us. They have these extraordinary skills that put them a little bit above the rest. They are multifaceted. They come from really layered, complex histories. You don't have to put their entire history on the page, but you do need to know it so that you can understand why this character is so fiercely protective, or is reluctant to ever trust another human being, or is devoted to her cause so badly. Those multifaceted reasons are what create a character that isn't flat, that isn't one-dimensional, that has these kind of 3D views of the world that come out on the page, so that when you look at her, you think, wow, that is a really fully developed character that is coming to life. They are adaptable, meaning that if things go wrong in one direction, they have a plan B, a plan C, a plan D, a plan Z. They are going to come up with a new way of getting around this barrier and get to where they want to go. Because things should not always go your character's way. You know from my conflict videos that there has to be conflict on every single solitary page. And so your character has to be adaptable to overcome those conflicts and still seize the day and win whatever it is that they're going after, or get to a point where they are happy with the outcome. They are lovable and likable. They are not just these badasses gonna kind of take over the world, because that's not necessarily a lovable, likable person. And that comes from that multifaceted part. Even if they can beat up the bad guys without a second thought and they're just super strong, as long as they have that layer that's behind it all, they'll be lovable and likable. And they are earnest. They want to do good. They want to do the right thing. They want to protect the people that they love. They want to fight for the underdog. They are very strong in their beliefs, and they will do what it takes to get there. That is what creates a really strong female character. Now, if you're struggling to put all this into your character, because I know it is hard, it is not easy. Every time I sit down to write, I think about all the things I'm doing wrong and the things that I am missing. And when I'm laying there in the middle and I'm thinking about my book, I'm like, oh, I should have put this in, and this really sucks, and that really sucks. I get that it is difficult. So what you need to do is to pay attention to the things that you are reading and watching, and take notes on what makes this character so multifaceted and so interesting and so intriguing. You guys will see on the channel, I mark up the books that I read. I have notes on them. I have little sticky notes. I have all kinds of things. I have highlights in them. I'm like, oh, this was brilliant how the author did this. There are a million little things that other authors do that bring those layers to life in a very subtle way. If you can study that, you can do that. You study it, you learn from it, and you apply it to your own book. You don't copy it. That's plagiarism, against the law. But you study it, you learn from it, and put it on the page. And you know what? If you're worried about being a badass writer, just put that little acronym over your computer. You are fierce, extraordinary, multifaceted, lovable, and earnest. And you have all the skills within you to write a really badass book and create something that readers love. If you have any questions, drop them down below. And I really suggest that you check out these other videos that I have on how to write really strong female characters, because they cover other aspects of it. And in the meantime, don't forget to share with a writer who is struggling. This is a hard enough job already. Let's support each other, lift each other up, give each other the information that we need so that we have a lot more really good books to read.